Have you ever known someone who disappeared? Not vanished into thin air. Not gone without a trace. Just stopped being around. Stopped picking up. Stopped showing up. And at first you thought nothing of it. Life gets busy. People drift. You told yourself they were fine. Tonight we are looking at 6 of those questions. 6 real people. 6 real disappearances that have haunted families, investigators, and entire communities for years. Some of these cases have theories. Some have suspects. None of them have answers. So let us dive into the stories they did not want told. This is Declassified Vault. Case 1. Brian Shaffer, the man who vanished inside a camera. Columbus, Ohio. April 1, 2006. It is a Saturday night, the kind of night that feels inconsequential, the kind of night people do not remember because nothing ever happens on nights like that. Brian Shaffer was 27 years old. A second-year medical student. By every account, a good man. Funny, warm, the kind of guy his friends wanted around. His mother had just died of cancer weeks before, and his friends wanted to take him out, get him out of his head for a few hours. So they went bar hopping along High Street. The last place was a bar called Ugly Tuna Se Loona. Security cameras caught Brian walking in through the front entrance at 1:55 in the morning. He was seen talking to 2 women inside. He was seen smiling. He was never seen again. And here is the part that has tormented investigators for nearly 2 decades. The Ugly Tuna had one entrance. One exit. The same door in, the same door out. Every person who left that bar that night was captured on camera. Every single person. Brian Shaffer was not among them. His friends left without him, assuming he had gone home with someone. His girlfriend Alexis, who was also there that night, reported him missing the next day. Police reviewed every frame of every camera in and around that bar. Neighboring businesses. ATMs. Traffic cameras. Nothing. Brian Shaffer walked into a building and ceased to exist on film. His phone pinged a tower near the bar the following afternoon. Once. Then silence. His bank accounts were never touched. His car sat in a parking garage untouched for weeks before it was towed. No body has ever been found. Theories have circled this case like vultures for years. Construction scaffolding on the building could have allowed someone to exit without passing the cameras. He could have been hiding and left later, after the cameras were turned off. Some believe foul play. Some believe he staged his own disappearance. Some believe something darker, something that happened inside that bar that no one is willing to talk about. Brian Shaffer's father spent years and his own money investigating his son's disappearance before he himself passed away, still with no answers. A man walked into a bar on a Saturday night. The cameras watched every exit. And he never came out. Case 2. Lars Mittank, the man who ran from nothing. There is a video that has disturbed millions of people since it surfaced online. In it, a young man sits in a doctor's office at an airport in Varna, Bulgaria. He looks anxious, but not unreasonably so, not in a way that would make you look twice. Then the doctor steps out of the room, presumably to get something. And the man looks toward the door. And then he runs. He bolts out of the clinic, sprints across the airport terminal, vaults over a security fence, and disappears into a field beyond the airport perimeter. He is never seen again. That man was Lars Mittank. 28 years old. German tourist. He had been on holiday with friends in Bulgaria in July 2014 when he got into a fight outside a McDonald's and sustained a minor ear injury. His doctor advised him not to fly until it healed. His friends flew home. Lars stayed behind alone. What happened next over the following days is where this story goes from sad to disturbing. Lars began sending messages to his mother that read like the texts of someone coming apart. He told her he did not feel safe. He told her he thought someone was trying to kill him. He told her to cancel his credit cards. He begged her to contact someone in Germany to send help. His mother told him to come home. He agreed. He went to the airport. And then that video. He is still missing. It has been over a decade. His mother has never stopped searching. What was he running from? Was someone actually following him? The ear injury had been treated. No drugs were found in his system. No one at the airport reported anything suspicious. Some medical professionals who reviewed the case suggest he may have experienced a sudden psychotic break, possibly triggered by the injury, the isolation, the stress. Others are not so sure. Because there is one detail that does not let go. Before he ran, Lars had already asked security guards at the airport to check the luggage of 4 men he believed were following him. The guards found nothing. Lars sat in that doctor's office anyway. And then he saw something. or someone. And he ran. Into a field. Into the unknown. Into nothing. Case 3. The Springfield 3, an entire night swallowed whole. On the night of May 31, 1992, two 18-year-old girls graduated from Kickapoo High School in Springfield, Missouri. Their names were Stacy McCall and Susie Streeter. They celebrated with friends, attended a party, and eventually made their way back to Suze's house in the early hours of the morning. Suze's mother, Cheryl Levitt, a 47-year-old woman, was home. That was the last confirmed moment of their existence. By noon the next day, when Stacy did not come home, her parents drove to the house. The lights were on. 3 sets of shoes were by the door. 3 purses. 3 sets of car keys. The television was on. A cigarette had been stubbed out in an ashtray. The dogs were still inside. The only sign of anything being wrong at all was a shattered outdoor light, a globe on the porch that had been broken. Someone had swept up the broken glass neatly, as if to hide it. 3 women vanished from inside a locked house with no signs of a violent struggle, no evidence of anything amiss, nothing gone except themselves. The investigation became one of the most haunting in Missouri history. Early callers who phoned the tip line reported hearing odd clicks on the line, suggesting it may have been monitored. One man, a convicted rapist, became a person of interest and confessed to the case in detail twice before recanting both times. His home, property, and a motel he frequented were searched multiple times. No remains were ever found. Stacy, Susie, and Cheryl have never been found. Not a bone. Not a piece of clothing. Not a trace. What kind of person, or persons, could walk into a home in the middle of the night and take 3 women so cleanly, so completely, that 3 decades of searching have turned up nothing? That is a question Springfield is still asking. It may always be asking. Case 4. Maura Murray, the nurse who said she called the police. New Hampshire. February 9, 2004. A snowy night on a dark stretch of Route 112, a road that locals call Wild Amanuensis. A silver Saturn runs off the road and comes to rest in a snow bank. A man named Butch Atwood was driving a school bus nearby and stopped to help. The driver was a young woman, calm enough on the surface, but something was wrong about her. She told him she had already called AAA. She told him she did not need the police. Atwood went home and called police anyway, despite her insistence. By the time officers arrived, just minutes later, the car was empty and the woman was gone. Her name was Maura Murray, 21 years old. Nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. And the more investigators looked into the hours before that crash, the stranger things became. In the days leading up to her disappearance, Maura had Googled directions to destinations in Vermont and New Hampshire. She had emailed her professors saying there had been a death in the family and she would be away for a week. No death had occurred. She had withdrawn a large sum of cash. She had packed a bag. And she had bought alcohol. She had also been involved in a minor fender bender in her campus parking lot hours earlier, a crash captured on security camera, another thing she had not reported. Why was she driving to the White Mountains alone? Who, if anyone, did she meet on that road? The skid marks suggest the car was not going fast. The crash should have been minor. There was blood in the car, but not a catastrophic amount. Did someone stop and offer her a lift? Did she climb into the wrong vehicle? Did she walk into the woods? No trace of Maura Murray has ever been found. The case is so layered, so obsessively documented, that entire books and podcasts have been built around it. Theories range from a tragic accident in the woods to something far more sinister involving people she knew. Maura Murray called no one that night. That's what haunts people most. She specifically told a witness she had already called for help when she had not. Why does a young woman in trouble tell the only person stopping to help her that no help is needed? Case 5. Brandon Swanson, 47 minutes and then nothing. On the night of May 13, 2008, 19-year-old Brandon Swanson drove his car off a rural Minnesota road on his way home from a party. He was not hurt. He called his parents. His father Ernie got in the car and drove toward Brandon while they stayed on the phone, talking, guiding each other by landmarks. For 47 minutes, Brandon talked to his father. 47 minutes of his voice, his words, his breathing, crackling across the line as he walked through the dark Minnesota countryside trying to find a road, find a light, find something familiar. And then Brandon said, quietly, "Oh shit," and the line went dead. Ernie Swanson arrived at the location his son had described. He turned on his headlights, honked his horn, shouted his son's name into the dark. There was no response. Brandon Swanson was gone. Search teams swept the area. Helicopters flew over farmland and tree lines. Sniffer dogs worked through fields and ditches. Nothing. What did Brandon see in those final seconds? What made him swear like that? A ditch? A drop? A person? The question has consumed his family for more than 15 years. In 2019, some of his remains were found over a mile from where he was believed to have been walking. The discovery raised more questions than it answered. How did he travel that distance? Was he alone? Authorities believe it was likely a tragic accident, a fall into a creek or waterway in the dark. But the oh shit has never left the people who loved him. Because that phrase carries something in it. It carries surprise. It carries the specific, sudden recognition of something unexpected. And in the middle of a dark field, at the end of 47 minutes of calm conversation with his father, whatever Brandon Swanson saw, it was the last thing he ever said. Case 6, the Yuba County 5. Lost in the wrong direction. This one is different from the others. Not because the disappearance is less disturbing. But because there are so many of them, and because everything about it makes so little sense that it has never stopped haunting people who study it. February 24, 1978. 5 men from Yuba County, California, attended a Sacramento Kings basketball game. Their names were Gary Mathis, Jack Madruga, Ted Weiher, Bill Sterling, and Jackie Hewitt. All 5 had intellectual disabilities of varying degrees. They were friends. They were regulars at games like this. Nothing about the night was unusual. Except that they never came home. 9 days later, their car was found 70 miles from Sacramento, near a ranger station in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Not in the direction of home. Far out of the way. Stuck in snow on a road that their car should never have been on at all. No one could explain why they had driven there. 3 months later, 4 of the men were found. Their bodies were scattered across miles of mountainous terrain. One man, Ted Weiher, was found inside a nearby ranger's cabin. He had survived for several weeks after the others died. There was food in the cabin. There was propane. There were beds. There were matches. But Ted had not properly used any of it. He had eaten some food. He had not lit the heater properly. He had not left to find help. He had lost over 80 pounds and died of exposure in a cabin stocked to sustain someone. Gary Mathis, who was considered the most capable of the group, was never found at all. His shoes were found inside the cabin, but Gary himself vanished completely. Why did they drive to the mountains? What were they following, or running from? How did a group of men end up scattered across miles of wilderness? And who was capable enough to drive them all that way, and then unable to survive? None of it has ever been explained. Not really. The Yuba County 5 remain one of the strangest, saddest, most inexplicable disappearances in American history. If you made this far, thanks so much for watching, and special thanks to ones who supported the channel for liking and subscribing. More videos will be uploaded on this channel. Stay tuned.